So good afternoon and well done for surviving your first week of GCSE exams. We've got through all of these and we've got another week of Year 10 exams to go. This lesson we're going to be focusing on physics. I understand you're doing AQA GCSE Physics, so we're going to revise for it using Python. Now when I revised for my GCSEs, I got a piece of paper, I folded it in half. On the left hand side I wrote some keywords, concepts, and on the right hand side I wrote the definitions, and then I could cover up the definitions and test myself. That's how we use those revision notebooks that I've given you. We're going to do the same kind of thing in Python today. So I've asked you to search for GCSE Physics definitions. I'll put a link in the description if you're watching at home. And it looks like this. There's loads of stuff that apparently you're supposed to revise for your test after the bank holiday weekend. So wouldn't it be nice if Python could help us out with this? So let's select as much of it as we can, everything that we can for topic 1. I don't know if you've been told what is in the exam and what isn't in the exam. I'm just going to do topic 1 for now. I'm not going to put it in Python code. I'm going to make a new file and call it revision.txt, a text file. And I'll plop it in there. So we have a concept and a definition. Each concept is on a separate line. Oh, rather irritating though, it's messed up. We're going to have to tweak this a bit so that each concept is on a separate line. When you copy and paste from a PDF, it breaks the formatting a little bit. So bear with me whilst I just put some line breaks in the right places. I'm just pressing the delete key and the space key so that each new concept is on a separate line. There we go. Now, obviously, we're going to use GCSE Physics definitions for this because that's the next exam after maths. It's going to be hard to do concepts like this for a maths revision thing. But you could do anything. It could be any subject. The idea is if we put the revision notes in, you can load it. We want a program that will choose one at random. So, for example, it might say kinetic energy. And it will give you 4 definitions. And you've got to say which definition it is, A, B, C, or D, or 1, 2, 3, or 4. The more you get, the higher your accuracy, the better you feel, the more revision you've done. Awesome. So that is the plan. I am going to save this, and then I'll share this with you if you want it, so that you don't have to faff around with this. Right, so we've got our data file. I said that I want everything on the same line. Some people have challenged that, like this one is flowing onto 2 lines, but it is just all on line 9. Can you see that? Line 10 doesn't start until we get to the next one. So let's have the same structure that we are told to have for Edexcel GCSE Computer Science. Let's have our modules. Let's have our constants. We're not going to mess around with all of the equal signs. Let's just keep it simple and go for subprograms and global variables. And what should we have next? Main program. Okay, this is going to be a quiz. A quiz is pointless without randomness. We want to choose one at random in any order, and then choose any 3 other definitions to show alongside it. So we're going to need a module, and that module needs to be the random module. And let's plan out what the main program should do. We'll do some decomposition. I think it should load the data from the file. It should repeat until the user chooses to quit. Whilst it's repeating, so, I mean, that's easy, isn't it? We can just do while true. Or probably better than that, while true, let's say while running. And then running can be a global variable, which is set to true. There we go. Global variable. Yeah, probably. Global variable should be above subprograms. Probably doesn't matter. Let's stick to what we're doing. There we go. Yeah, because global variables can be accessed by the subprograms, can't they? Then we want to choose a random question. Choose 3 other random definitions. Show all the definitions to the user. Allow the user to choose. See if they got the right one. And display the score. So that's our decomposition. We've got very little actually working yet. I'm just going to save it, Control-Shift-S, so if you can't catch up with your typing at any point, you can just hit refresh. If it's different to the one that I've got loaded, you'll see a red triangle on here, and you can just pull the latest code from me. Right, so we've probably got some error messages at the moment because it's expecting something indented here. I want to be able to choose a random question, but I can't choose a random question until I've got something to choose from. So we're going to need to choose to store all the questions somewhere. That sounds like a global variable. Now I kind of understand why Edexcel uses lots of those equal signs, because I'm getting confused between my my decomposition just comments and the structure in here. So do you know what? I'm going to go back on what I said, and I think it does rather help. I can see some purpose in this thing that I criticised so much. Oopsie. Control-C. Let's just global variables, subprograms, main program, done. Control-Shift-S, you can Control-R, hit the red triangle, and you'll see the latest code. Right, we have a file. I want to load from that file. So somewhere in here, I am going to do something like questions equals load questions. I like to load from a file, so that probably means I'm going to specify the file. But I'd like to be able to change it really easily afterwards. So let's make a constant. File name equals, you need to put revision.txt in there. And then the hard bit for now is going to be defining this load questions subprogram. So at the moment, it doesn't know what load questions is. Ugh. So we'd better get rid of this error message. To do that, I'm just going to comment that out. Here we go. Here's the problem. Load questions is not defined. It is not a built-in function. Built-in function is like input or print. That means we've got to define it ourselves. Def. We'll define how to load questions. If we're loading questions, we need to know where to load questions from. That sounds like a parameter. I'd like to return something, as in it's going to be a function. What are we going to return? Well, it would make sense if we return some questions. What is questions? Well, we don't know yet. But it's going to be more than one thing. It's plural. So let's say questions is equal to a list, an empty list. And then we'll fill that list with all of these. Just go into pause to give you a chance to catch up. Okay, so let's think, how do we load the questions? Well, we want to open the file, open the file name. That will give us a file object. Let's just call it F. That does not need to go in our list of global variables because it's not global anymore. It's only local. We can only access it within load questions. We open something, we need to close it again. Otherwise, we use up too much memory. No one else can write to that file until you switch off your computer. Once we've opened it, we can read everything from it. That will give us a string, as in contents of file. You should be able to print that now. There we go, we've got everything all in one go. That's not very useful. We want to get each one separately and then split them into keyword definition. So let's not print it anymore. Let's put some comments in. Load from file. Nice. Split up questions. Questions. Okay. So the file contents is this. The contents of the file. That's a string. We want to split that into lines. We put a new line constant in, a \n. Remember, we had the whole file. Every time we get to a new line, we assume that we're going on to a next definition. This is now going to be a list, so we can call it lines. What we then want to do is iterate through each one and split them. So for line in lines, we can split each line, and we could have used any character to separate them, but I was lazy and I just copy and pasted from this thing here. So we should probably say where we copied and pasted from, so we're not accused of plagiarism. There we go. It's not source of the Python code though, so let's say Revisiontxt source. There we go. What do we want to split this time? Well, we want to split every time we have a colon. Why? Because the separator between what we want to remember and the thing we want to associate with it is separated by a colon. Sorry, a colon. This is now a one-dimensional list because the first item in that list will be the keyword. The second item in that list is going to be the definition. So that list I want to add to this list here. So we can do questions.append, and we'll add that thing in there. So that the thing we return is going to be a two-dimensional list. And I'll put an example in here. That's the structure it's going to be in. A two-dimensional list. The outer list contains pairs of inner lists, keywords and definitions. Will it work? Well, there's no errors. Control-Shift-S. You can Control-R to refresh the page, pull the latest version. If you click on the little triangle, if you're not staying up to date, hopefully now, if we print questions, we've got a two-dimensional list. There we go. Nice. But I don't want to print all of them. That would be cheating. We're getting somewhere. So, whilst we're running, choose a random question. Aha. Okay, so choose a random question. That is something that we can do with the random module. We'll say random.choice. And the parameter that we pass into random.choice, the thing we're choosing from, is our list of questions. So let's just display, the return value from this. So let's say question. Questions plural, more than one of them. We've loaded them from the file. Question singular, just one of them. We've chosen from that list. Print question singular. Oh my goodness. That's because it's in a while loop. It's going to just crash, isn't it? Sorry, everybody. There we go. So we need to slow it down. So we better let the user make a choice, otherwise it's going to just continuously loop. So user choice equals input, which is the correct definition. And what do you want? A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4? You can choose. I'll go A, B. Are you only going to go for 3? Yeah, we can go for 3 options if you want. It'll make it easier for us as well. So that's better. We can see the question and the correct definition. It doesn't show the 3 options yet. It's a logic error because it does what we've told it to do. We just haven't told it to do the right thing yet. But that's okay. We're just making it. We don't really want to show the question because it gives away the answer. Next, we want to choose 3 other random definitions. Well, not quite yet. Let's say correct keyword equals question 0, the first thing in that list. Correct definition is question 1, the second thing in that list. Just that we can check later. Strictly speaking, those are now global variables. So we should just put them in here. Correct definition. Lovely. Don't have to for Python, but we're supposed to for Excel. And it is good practice to think about the data types of the variables and declare them at the beginning. So there's all sorts of different ways that we can choose 3 random definitions. We could just repeat the random.choice, but we've got a bit of a problem because we might potentially choose 3 options that are all the same, which is easy to code and easy to revise from, but it's probably not very good. So what we'll do instead is let's think. Let's say the available options is an empty list. And then once we've chosen the right question, we can say the questions dot remove. We can move the question we're interested in so that we don't choose that again. Or hang on, what we're going to do? Let's just say options. These are the ones that the user's going to choose from. And we want to put the right answer in. There we go. And then 3 times for I in range, oh no, just twice, because you said we only want A, B, and C. We can choose another one. So how did we do that? We'll choose a question and we'll remove it. So options dot append question and questions dot remove the one that we've chosen. What's going on here? I need some comments. Let's plop that there. What's this doing? Let's set up a list that the user can choose from. Remember, we want 3 to choose from. One of them has to be the correct answer, otherwise revision is impossible. Then we remove the correct answer so that we don't choose it again as our A, B, C options. And then we want to choose, I've said 3 in the comment, but we've said 2 here. There we go. So choose 2 other random definitions. This is repeating twice. Choose a question, we add it to our list that our user is going to choose from, and we remove it from our list of questions so it's not chosen again. So I reckon this will almost work. I've got a couple of flags in my head about things that will go wrong, but we'll come to those later. Right, so in theory, we should be able to print options now. Oh my goodness. And we've got all sorts of gubbins in here. Too much. So I don't really want all of that. What's going on? Options. Oh, look, I've got questions. I just want the individual question. That's better. So now I should have 3 things to choose from. Fossil fuels, thermal conductivity, and conservation of energy. We're getting closer, but what I want is just 1 keyword and then 3 possible options. So in that case, I'm not going to add the question in. I'm going to add the correct definition. And then here, options.append question square brackets 0. That's better. Now I've only got, no, I'm adding the wrong one. That's a keyword, not a definition. Square brackets 1. That's better. I've got 3 definitions now. Right. I'm going to save it, pause it, give you a bit of time. Okay, so we're almost there now. Problem is, We're not actually showing the keyword, so I should probably put an extra comment in here. Show the question and show all the possible definitions. So, how do we do that? What is the correct definition for, we want a keyword, so correct keyword. That's better. What is the correct definition for elastic potential energy? At the moment, it should always be the first one. We need to fix that. And then if you keep pressing OK, eventually it's going to crash because it will run out of options because we're deleting them all the time. That's not good. That's because we're removing them from here. To fix that, I'll load them from the file inside the loop. So every time we show a new question, we read our questions from the file again. It'll be slightly slower, less efficient, but it'll work. Next thing that we can do, instead of showing the whole list, is show the first one. Options 0. And you could probably do this with a for loop. It would definitely be possible, but because there's only 3 of them, it's going to be pretty much the same just to do it like that. So there we go. I might just indent them ever so slightly, so it's easier to see. And then hopefully it will continue forever without crashing now. But our problem is the correct answer is always going to be A. And it's really hard to see the question. So I'm just going to put a blank print in there so that we put a blank line in. Right. What's the correct definition for kinetic energy? So in order to put them in a random order each time, let's just, so we don't want to show the question yet, let's do it in here. Outside of the loop, options is the thing that we want to shuffle. How do we shuffle? We do random.shuffle. I don't know if that is in the PLS, but it's really handy. It does what it describes. If you play a card game, you shuffle the cards, they're in a random order. If you have a list and you shuffle the list, it just puts them in a random order. So now hopefully conservation of energy isn't necessarily going to be the first one. Oh, it is there. Is it this time? What's the correct definition for spring constant? Yeah, there we go. So that's part C. It's not the first one anymore. I hope. So we're almost there. Now we just need to check and see if the user got the right answer. But we're going to do a little bit of massaging the user's data in, because they could type anything in here. I want it to detect a lowercase a or a capital A, and I want it to reject anything else. So whatever the user types in with input, I'm going to convert that to uppercase. Now I can see is if user choice is in A, B, or C. So I've got a list of possible values, and I might as well just use that as a constant. Acceptable values. Pop that at the top. Why not? We haven't made a constant for a wee while. Acceptable values. Then we can say if the user's chosen something in that list, then do something. Otherwise, should we quit the quiz? Why not? Let's say print invalid choice, stopping the quiz. How do we stop the quiz? We just set running to false. Right, let's see if it works. If you press A, it doesn't tell us if we've got it right or wrong. If you press lowercase a, it still works. If B or C or C, but anything else, it has a bit of a hissy fit and it says, right, that's it, done revision now, off to play FIFA or watch Netflix or something. So this thing where we say pass, this is now where we need to check and see if we've got the right answer. Right, so we've got some logic here. If the user has typed in A, so if user choice is equal to A, then the index that we're looking at is going to be 0. Otherwise, if the user choice is B, the index that we're looking at in our list of options is 1. Again, we could do this a different way, but I think this is the simplest way to understand at the moment. What on earth do I mean by all of that? I mean, well, if the user's typed in A, we've got a one-dimensional list of options, and we're looking at the first index of that list of options. If the user said C, then we're looking at the third value, or the value at index 2. So we should probably comment that. Find the index of the definition the user has chosen. And once we've found the index, we can compare it. Check if they're right or not. Bear in mind, this has to be lined up with this. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let's think. We've got a list of options. We've got an index, which is where the user is currently looking. And if that, which is a string, if that is equal to the correct definition, then the user's got it right. Right, what does that mean? Print. Hooray! You're a genius. And you could, if you wanted, have an extra text file with lots of compliments in, and it could choose one at random and display it. But let's just say you're a genius all of the time. And I'll let you choose how to insult people if they get it wrong. I prefer not to insult people if they make mistakes. I think mistakes are part of learning. Unlucky? Try another question. So let's see. Fossil fuels. It's definitely not a unit used for energy. Unlucky, try another question. Elastic potential energy is the store of energy that's stretched up. Yeah, sounds like B to me. Awesome. So now all we need is some stats. Sounds like a job for global variables to the rescue. So let's see. Attempted. Right. Questions attempted is 0. Questions correct is 0. And then we can work out everything that we want from there. We could probably have accuracy equals 0.0. That's going to be a percentage. Percentage accuracy is 0.0. Right, so every time we have a new question, we can say questions attempted increases by 1. Strictly speaking, that should only go up when they've actually attempted it, shouldn't it, really? It doesn't really matter. So they've attempted a question. We've got questions attempted up here. Although, I suppose if they choose to quit, that would count as an attempt, wouldn't it? Which isn't bad, which isn't good. We only want to count it as an attempt if they put in an acceptable value. There we go. And if they're right, we can say questions correct is equal to, no, it just increases by 1. And then we want to display the score. Right, what do we want to display? Something like attempted, and then I'm pressing tab to move it across. Correct. Press tab to move it across. Accuracy. All right, let's see if we can make it work. So let's see, we've got questions attempted. we've got questions correct. We haven't yet worked out the accuracy. But we'll run it and see. What's the correct definition? I don't know, I'm guessing. Oh, I got it right. But it still says my accuracy is 0.0. Right, how do we work out a percentage? A little bit of maths revision for you for your maths exam just after bank holiday. The percentage accuracy equals, I'll pause the video and we'll see if we can do it collaboratively. Yeah, good. So we've got the questions correct divided by the questions attempted times by 100. And we might want to specify how many decimal places this is. And I can never remember the string format for this. So I might have to pause it while I get the PLS. I'm just going to guess. So it's something like 0.0f. I don't know. We'll see. Correct definition for conservation of energy. It sounds like A. Oh, it did work, but I want a percent symbol. I'll put that after the curly brackets. Correct definition for gravitational potential energy. Is it the store of energy that all raised matter has? Yeah, I think so. Ooh, 100%. Right, let's get this one wrong. Efficiency, the store of energy. No, I don't think so. And I've got 50%. It's working. You now have a revision program that you can put whatever revision content in that you want. Or if you wanted, you can make another file and make it so that the user can choose which file to choose from, in which case file name shouldn't be a constant anymore. It's just going to be a variable that you load in. But we've used Python to help us revise for physics. That's Control-Shift-S. So you just need to refresh the page. And then when you refresh, you'll see oh, I can't see it anymore. Maybe I've just broken it. You should see a little triangle in there somewhere. But I think it just works.